favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Pass.
All right, we can go back up to item F, budget and budget amendments. F1's regarding the FY22 budget. Francis?
FY22 budget amendments, starting with F1A.
Is there a motion to approve F1D through F1I?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass.
Under item G, bids, RFPs, RFQs. G1 is authorization of recommendations. G1A regarding bid 22-004, aggregate surface treatment for delivery and pickup.
All right, what's the pleasure on items G1A?
Motion to approve the purchasing director's recommendations on the bids.
Second.
We have a motion second. Any other discussion? No discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass. All right.
Item G1B regarding bid 22-005, asphalt emulsions for delivery and pickup.
Not what's the pleasure, of course.
Move to approve the recommendation of the purchasing director.
All right. Is there a second?
Second.
All right. We have a motion second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Pass. I'd like to go to item L1. We have Shane Turner and Fiona Bond here. This is regarding the U.S. Department of Treasury Coronavirus Local Fiscal Recovery Fund American Rescue Plan Act discussion or action regarding the eligible expenses and our funding guidelines, reporting requirements, and funding request. Okay.
So I'm Fiona Bond, Executive Director of Creative Waco, and of course this is Shane Turner, owner and operator of the Hippodrome.
All right, so we will recess until 1 o'clock tomorrow. So it's 11. All right, good morning. Let's call court to order. Today is Tuesday, March 1st, 2022. It's 9 a.m. Proof of posting, please.
The agenda was posted on Friday, February 25th, 2022 at 3:10 p.m.
Thank you. And if anyone has a public comment, they can come forward now from the audience. Yes, sir.
My name is Shannon Caraway. I'm Vice President for Business Development for a company called Solar Prime. Currently, we're trying to develop another 300 megawatt solar farm and 300 megawatt battery energy storage project here in McLennan County. And it's out north of Trading House Creek Reservoir, that area there. We're preparing to submit a proposal to this body soon for a county tax abatement for the project, and just wanted to stop by ahead of time, introduce ourselves, and tell you what we're doing.
Going to D on the proclamations resolutions, we have nothing this week. Under E, under consent agenda, I have no recommended pulls. Does anyone else have a pull from the consent agenda they want to discuss? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Motion second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass. All right, Dustin.
Yes, sir. Judge, if we could go to item N1, this is discussion and or action on matters regarding COVID-19.
These case numbers have decreased for the hospitals.
turn this on.
Turn that loose in the front yard and just try to rake it all up. I've had that happen before. Trash can turn.
All right, good morning, everyone.
Snow in the yard.
All right, before I gavel court to order, I'll kind of give everyone a little preliminary of what we're going to do this morning. Great morning to celebrate any kind of victories that we have, and especially one of our hometown teams to really get great recognition out of their hard work across the state. This morning, when I gavel in, we will stand for a moment of silence, and then we'll do the pledge to the American flag, and then we'll find out if y'all know the words to the pledge to the Texas flag. It's pretty simple. Then we're going to do some proclamations which will recognize the La Vega Pirates, Lady Pirates, and we do have one public comment, but I've asked permission from the gentleman if he could do that after we did the proclamation, 2 proclamations, and we appreciate that. And then we'll go into our routine business, which we don't always follow the agenda exactly the way it is. To accommodate guests that come to make presentations, we'll put those in an order so they can get back to doing whatever they do. So this time,
Recording in progress.
let's call court to order.
Proof of posting.
Yes. All right, this time, we will have proof of posting.
The agenda was posted on Thursday, March 16th, 2023 at 4:20 p.m. And a supplemental agenda was posted on Friday, March 17th, 2023 at 3:40 p.m.
Thank you. All right, this time, let's stand briefly for a moment of silence, and then we'll have a pledge to the flags.
Please join with the pledge. Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now the Texas pledge. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one indivisible.
Really good. Thank you. All right. At this time, I'd like to call on Commissioner Fowler to make a special presentation and proclamation today.
Well, good morning, and thank you. I will do D2 first, since D1 is simply a ratification.
Okay.
It is my honor and my privilege. I want to thank Coach Marcus Willis, his coaching staff, and the victorious Lady Pirates of La Vega High School for being here this morning. It is the court's pleasure to recognize you all on your state championship. And so I'm going to read a proclamation into the minutes, and then we're going to have a presentation from our county judge, and then we're going to allow the rest of the court to congratulate you all, okay? A proclamation of the McLennan County. You all see yourselves up there? A proclamation of the McLennan County Commissioners Court recognizing and congratulating the 2023 La Vega High School Lady Pirates basketball team, Class 4A state champions. Whereas the 2023 La Vega High School Lady Pirates basketball team Whereas the 2023 La Vega High School Lady Pirates basketball team, with a season record of 38-5, made their 6th state tournament appearance in program history, displaying discipline, ability, and perseverance. The Lady Pirates with a district win over Connolly of 71-19, a Region 3 win over Madisonville of 56-34, and a state semifinal win over Glen Rose of 50-48 on Saturday, March the 4th, at the Alamo Dome in San Antonio, Texas, became the 2023 Class 4A state champions with the victory of 46-38 over the Sunnyvale Lady Raiders. And whereas the McLennan County Commissioners Court would like to publicly recognize and congratulate all of the players, students, and faculty personnel for their achievements this year. The court also applauds the coaching staff for their expertise, leadership, time, and talents put forth in bringing out the best of the best in preparing this championship team, and for the outstanding manner in which this organization represented the McLennan County community. And I'm going to read out the roster. If you're here and I mispronounce your name, please correct it, because I want to say you guys' names right, okay? Jaden Eigelhart, if you're here, go ahead and stand up when I say your name. All righty. Micaiah Willis, Kalia Parr, Kenzie Mitchell, Samaria Kelly, Alicia Good, Craylasia Bradley, Kaya Mitchell, Sydney McKinney, Jermariana Daniel, Riazia Smith, Solange Lodholt, Andrea Johnson, and Angela Carroll. Okay. I don't have anyone sitting, do I? That means I got everybody. Okay. Head coach Marcus Willis Sr., assistant coaches Sherry Salter, James Brown, Michael Mitchell, Lanier Keys, Victoria Kirkendall, and Lisa Edney. Okay. Whereas, in addition to paying tribute to the team, coaches, staff, and administration, we also wish to express gratitude and appreciation to the families and the many loyal fans who faithfully supported and contributed to the ultimate success of the 2023 La Vega High School Lady Pirates basketball team. And now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the McLennan County Commissioners Court officially recognizes and congratulates the 2023 La Vega High School Lady Pirates basketball team and junior point guard Kalia Parr. Kalia, hold your hand up. Kalia is the state tournament MVP. We congratulate Coach Marcus Willis Sr. and the La Vega Lady Pirates coaching staff on becoming the 2023 District 23 Region 3 Conference 4A state champions. And be it further proclaimed that a copy of this proclamation be made a permanent part of the minutes of the Commissioners Court witnessed our hand and seal this 21st day of March 2023. Signed, Scott M. Felton, County Judge. James A. Smith, Commissioner Precinct 1, Patricia Miller, Commissioner Precinct 2, Ben Perry, Commissioner Precinct 4, and we will get Commissioner Jones's signature. He's just not here right now, Commissioner Precinct 3.
Motion to approve that proclamation.
So move.
Second.
Have a motion second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passed. All right. I'd like to ask everyone to, all the team and coaches, any of them that are here, and any other representatives from La Vega, come up here and face the audience. Anyone taller than me, stand behind me when I
We going up?
I think he meant all of you stand behind him.
I'm going to stand in front of somebody I know that
All right. That was fun. Okay,
Let me do D1.
yes, if you would do the other proclamation.
Okay, on D1, it's a ratification. I'm always proud when organizations come into McLennan County, and they stay in our hotels, and they frequent and our establishments. And so, last week, we had the Missionary Baptist General Convention of Texas here in McLennan County, and this is a ratification of the proclamation that was presented to them at their opening session. And so if there are no questions, I would like to go ahead and ratify the proclamation recognizing the joint auxiliary session of the Brotherhood and Women's Ministry and the March Leadership Conference of the Missionary Baptist General Convention of Texas.
All right, that's in a motion. I'll second that. Any discussion? No discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passed. All right, this time, anyone that wants to speak to the court on business matters and public comments, please come forward. Give us your name and address, and then around 3 minutes is our limit.
My name is Cornel Martin. I live in Axtell, 10016 East Highway 84, 766. My comments here is that I've been having problem with a school district, and it seems like not just the district, the law enforcement. I tried to get in touch with the commissioner, Patricia Miller, and she does not want to respond. The DA, Texas Ranger, Attorney General said to go to the commission, and she needs to sign off for Texas Ranger to investigate. And nobody wants to meet, no judges wants. That's abuse of power. My child still suffer of their negligent actions. You know, I got a business too in Axtell. When I went to the school board, what do I get back from public? They put it all over internet. I get a drive-by shooting, bullets flying by my daughter's head. Nothing gets done by the sheriff. I talked to Parnell McNamara. He said I shouldn't have filed a lawsuit on his employees. Well, they don't want to do nothing about it. None of them. There are still cases, falsing medical documents. The sheriff signing and agreeing with the staff school. I am a taxpayer. I mean, they abusing their power of everything. Judges in Waco, they said, bring evidence to look at it. They don't want to look at it. So I just went, they sent me on Goldson Road. They dismiss everything. That's abuse of power. If I have to go to Austin or Texas, U.S. Supreme Court, I am. I already talked with the federal, and they said to come talk to you, Patricia. I tried for years. I cannot get in your office. I left messages. I left a note on you. Yeah. Nothing gets done. All I want you to look and go, because none of the deputies want. I just talked to Parnell McNamara not too long ago, and he said I shouldn't have put a lawsuit on his deputy. What can I do when they sign and agree with a school to create fake criminal trespass order? They put it all over internet. I mean, it's a shame of what's going on. My child present because of their negligence. It's in hospital in Scottish Rite right now. And they just cover everything. You know, how you feel like my child gets disposed in the girl's bathroom naked for years. Naked, and nothing gets done. Doing construction in Axtell ISD, I got evidence where the principal rode me using jackhammer, just like we are in here in the corner, busting the concrete while all the handicapped kids here. You know, there's CPS report, child report, how the teacher takes cold water and spraying on other student faces. My child might be physical, but his brain works and knows. I mean, it's a shame, and I want somebody to just sit down and look at it, at least so we can go on with this, because this has been going on for years. And I mean, it's a shame of what the district did. And you know, I want a gun range. I like what y'all did here today. I do the same thing for La Vega. All the kids come. La Vega, Crawford, China Spring. I let them use my range because nobody wanted to let them use it. And I just let them use it for free. I don't even charge them a penny.
Thank you.
And I do a lot of good things for the Axtell School. I cooked for them. I did everything. And what I get in return, all my kids that they played football, they had to make them pay for drug tests to pass school. I got evidence of that if y'all want. I let the DA listen. And I got more students said, yes, we did it too. Coach, that's why they're mad. Coaches pulled their private out and pee in front of them. That was known for Axtell to do that. And I do got recording of that. And now they put him as a principal, Coach Ditcher. It's a shame.
All right, thank you, sir.
That's all. It's a lot more, but I want you to consider what's going on.
Thank you.
All right.
All right, next, anyone else have public comments? All right. If not, I'd like to go to items N7. This is a presentation from Mission Waco regarding the Creekside Community Village. And so, John, are you going to make the presentation?
Yes, sir.
All right, this is John Calloway.
Well, thank you for having me. For those who may not be able to see me on Zoom, I'm the much younger, much prettier version of Jimmy Doral. I want to first say that I'm not here to ask for anything. I'm not here to ask for money, so you can get a little sigh of relief. But I wouldn't be opposed to Commissioner Miller locking the door and passing the plate before we leave. But today is just a presentation to identify some issues and needs in our community that we're all aware of anyways, but also offer a simple solution that we hope to achieve in our county and our city. First, a little bit about who Mission Waco is. We do three things. We empower, we equip, and we engage. We empower the marginalized community through providing Christian-based, holistic, relationship-centered programs. Secondly, we equip the middle class to become more compassionately involved in under-resourced communities. And lastly, we want to engage what we believe are systemic issues of social injustice, which continue to oppress marginalized communities. Next slide, please. Last week, we celebrated our 31st anniversary at the base for a banquet. We've been around the block, so to speak. We're not as old as some organizations in Waco, but being 31 years of age, we've certainly seen a lot. Certainly Jimmy has, and our staff. We've got about 90 staff and about 2,000 volunteers that serve with us across 17 different programs. And we look at sort of about a $5 million budget this year. That just gives you some context of the organization. Also a little bit why we think we're positioned well to take a step in the direction we're headed. Next slide, please. I wanted to list a few of the existing social services so people are aware of the things that we're already doing in this space. We have a 56-bed emergency shelter called My Brother's Keeper. There at the Meyer Center at 12th and Washington, we have a myriad of services that we already provide, both from legal to health clinics to job training and permanent job placement. You'll see with the Street Sweep Employment Program that's been in existence for about 2 years now, we've had 20 individuals come out of our shelter and placed in permanent jobs and permanent housing just because of this program alone. One of the things that you may not know about is we also have a 4 to 6 month addiction residential recovery program. It's called the Manna House. We've had, as of this year, 800 men that have come through that program since its inception. We also do a number of transitional housing, but also the ARC apartments. And I list all these things to help the court understand that for this particular project we're discussing today, I believe we have both the history of property management, but also the experience in working with folks that are on the streets for a number of decades. Tim, next slide, please. These are things that I think face our community that we're all aware of. We have an exceptionally high poverty rate, twice the national average. We certainly have an excessive housing cost that our population is paying, especially those who are low income, and for folks that are on the streets, the options for housing is almost just non-existent. When you look at our point in time count, which counts our chronically homeless, and the latest data we have is that we have just less than 200, and that's as of last year. I point to the annual cost because I think most of us probably assume this population, the homeless population, can take a toll financially on any given community. But the reality is that it costs our community around $35,000 per person someone living on our streets. Now, you can imagine with me the impact financially of a Baylor Scott and White, an Ascension Providence, when somebody shows up their door who's homeless and treats their ER as a primary care physician. You can also imagine the toll on the Sheriff's Department, Waco PD, county jail, any number of ways. You can see how that cost goes up significantly. Now, this dollar amount is from a 2017 publication from the National Alliance to End Homelessness. I think if you assume a 3% conservative estimate of inflation since that year, that number jumps to about $43,000 that it cost our community per person. If you look at that 2022 point-in-time count number, 195, you multiply that out times 35,000 or 43,000, you're going to get over $8 million that it costs our community throughout the variety of services to take care of somebody who's currently on the streets. That same publication in 2017 also said that with permanent supportive housing, that number to cost our community can be reduced up to 50%, thus saving our community just over $4 million. Tim, next slide, please. We believe that there's a solution, and we're calling it Creekside Community Village. I've also provided a slide PowerPoint for you to take with you in paper. Now, this is simply a proposal today. It's certainly in its infant stages of development. I think it's also important to note that a proposed development like this will not solve all of the homelessness in our community, but it certainly can help mitigate it. We believe that housing alone will not end homelessness for an individual, but community will. Next slide. Creekside Community. It's a transformative community combining permanent supportive housing with life-giving community engagement. It exists to empower our friends coming out of homelessness and long for a permanent place to call home. At full capacity, we hope to provide at least over 150 homes for formerly homeless men and women and provide wraparound services with existing Mission Waco services that we already provide, but also with the collaborative partnerships that we have in and around our city. Now, homelessness is a word that's defined by HUD. Certainly this community will apply to that population, but also our community is focused on helping alleviate the folks that are staying in the Oak Lodge type motels in our community as well. Now, phase one will include a small number of already previously vetted clients, people that Mission Waco or Church Under the Bridge, folks that we know really, really well, that we believe will be successful in this kind of environment. And phase one will likely include about 20 to 30 individuals, and then we'll move and build upon that in the future. Now, missionals, as you'll see on the slide, these are residents that are not formerly homeless, but choose to live in community with those who are. We believe this mixed income approach creates a healthier and more sustainable neighborhood, while also providing residential care and community while making up to 20% of the overall village. Now, this development is based on the Community First model in Austin, Texas. So we didn't make this up. It's a proven model. And while I'd love to take you all to Austin, I hope I can one day to show it to you firsthand, to meet the founder, Alan Graham, still the executive director. I hope that this video that we have gives you just a glimpse into what we hope to see here in Waco, Texas. Tim, can you pull up that video, please?
I know that in your family, you have a drug addict, an alcoholic, or somebody battling a behavioral health issue, but your family comes up underneath that individual to ensure that they never find themselves up underneath the bridge and on the street corners of our respective cities. We believe that the single greatest cause to homelessness is the profound, catastrophic loss of family. Goodness, it's giving your best first.
On these sandwiches, man. We must have some short loaves. On the bread. No wait.
Goodness is love in action.
PB&J also.
We're here to serve.
We really thank groups like you guys coming out here, opening your hearts and minds. Just experience the village today. That's your number one goal. There's a lot of work to do, but a lot of it is going to be relational.
It's not a handout.
It's a hand up. We're trying to do this and make it bigger, get more people. Let's clear the streets of people that are chronically homeless.
With our neighbors.
This community.
This hope.
I have found a lifestyle of abundance.
Oh yeah, beautiful. Housing alone will never solve homelessness, but community will.
Thank you, Tim. Can you go ahead and move to the next slide, please?
I know that in your
Doubt you want to watch it again. Again, the proposed site that we are currently working off of is 67 acres off of University Parks Drive, in between LaSalle and Highway 6. We like this location because it has available access to utilities. It is outside the city limits, but still in the Waco ETJ. It's easily accessible via bus to essential partnering services. And includes 35 acres of green space to include what we hope to have multiple parks and certainly some agricultural development as well. We will have, as far as the timeline is concerned, we hope to have the actual survey back this week of that property, which will give us our easements. We feel pretty positive that it won't give us any significant issues. And then soon thereafter, we'll develop a site plan with our architect, engineering, and then we hope to close on this property on June 29th. Tim, next slide, please. As you'll see, these are the district maps for 1 through 4 that you can see. It's just outside of District Councilwoman's Andrea Barefield's District 1, sort of across the street. You can kind of see it borders both the river and catty-corner to Highway 6. Next slide, please. I wanted to provide an aerial shot to help you kind of get a visual of really how beautiful this property is. Next to a great big field, tree lined on both sides of it. You can see what might be where Phase 1 would be on this property. I want to give this visual too to show you the significant difference between where Phase 1 will be and where the river is. I think, like all of us, anytime there's going to be riverfront development, we want to be careful as to the environmental impact of that development. Even when it's fully built out, you're still 30 acres between the edge of the facilities and the Brazos River. So we feel pretty confident there won't be any negative, and we'll work hard to not have any negative impact on the Brazos River. Next slide, please. You also see where it relates to Highway 6. There's a creek, hence the name Creekside Community Village, that runs on the edge of the property all the way down to about half of it and then dumps into the Brazos River. Next slide, please. Now, this supportive permanent housing solution will potentially include 3 types of housing. 1, microhomes, which you'll see in the picture on the left, partially plumbed homes, and 3rd, park model homes, which you will see there on the right. It will be the choice of the neighbor as to which home they prefer, and the particular unit will determine the specific rental rate. The site map design will be neighborhood-centric, will include community kitchens for some, and individual bathrooms in a central location for others. Next slide, please. The microhomes pictured here are a great example of the uniquely designed, beautifully built structures that will invite hospitality and create an opportunity for dignified living, which are not words that describe the current housing opportunities for this particular population for sure. This will be a one-of-a-kind development affirming to all that Waco is indeed a community that values equal opportunity for all to experience high-quality housing, and that it is possible for someone to previously been thought of as a drain on society to instead be known as a contributing member to our community. Next slide, please. Another unique feature of this development are the community kitchens. Designed with only the highest commercial cooking equipment in mind, it will create a place for cooking skills to be learned, fellowship to be experienced, and partnering groups such as businesses and churches to come and have home-cooked meals alongside our neighbors. Next slide, please. Also, some will utilize individual bathrooms in centralized locations. This state-of-the-art facility will provide individual showers, bathrooms, and Wi-Fi enabled laundry rooms to a few of the neighbors living in microhomes. This is important as it encourages community, as does the community kitchens, while also allowing Mission Waco to control the cleanliness and the sanitary environment of each bathroom. So instead of relying on the individual to maintain the condition of the bathrooms, we have the ability to make sure it's as clean as possible. And on a lesser note, because of the way the neighborhood is designed, providing plumbing to all of these microhome units will double the cost, which will then have to be passed down to the individuals who are living there. And when we surveyed our shelter and folks both staying in camps and tents, they loved the option to choose. And that's what empowerment is, the ability to choose where they want to stay, the style of home they want to stay in. And if they choose to have a very low rent with no plumbing, then they choose that. And we believe that it's a dignifying way to also clean and help the property stay clean. Next slide, please. There are also numerous creative opportunities to explore, like these 3D printed homes, outdoor activities, and even competitions for builders and architects. One of the printed houses you'll see here, one of the three, I believe it's the blue one, is home to the first lived-in 3D printed home in the world. Next slide, please. Now, the back half of the property between facilities and the river will provide over 35 acres of possibility. Imagine with me a disc golf course, hike and bike trails, gardening with a Saturday's farmer's market for the neighbors, perhaps a meditation and a prayer garden, perhaps some chickens and an off-leash dog park. I think a key part of any healthy community are the outdoor amenities for folks to enjoy together. Next slide. There will likely be multi-purpose spaces in which to hold large gatherings, office space, and why not a space to watch the Super Bowl, and places for partnering organizations to come and host events or to see clients. Next slide, please. In Austin, not only has Community First been an asset to the surrounding community in Greater Austin, it has encouraged other developments alongside of it. As you'll see in the pictures below, there's now one high-end tiny home development and a moderate income development that have come since the inception of Community First. In fact, the existing suburban development has dramatically increased in property value, and while one might be concerned about the safety, security of the residents in the previously built suburban neighborhood, it's actually been quite the opposite. The fencing surrounding Community First exists to keep the suburban residents out, not to keep Community First residents in. Next slide, please. This is what gets to the nuts and bolts of what most people think and the questions that everyone is going to have when you start talking about permanent housing for those that are housing insecure. I want to walk through each of these and certainly give some time afterwards to have your questions answered as well. First, I think the biggest question that we always get is, will this resource attract more homeless to Waco? Those who simply relocate to Waco will not qualify. Again, you must be here for at least a year. And we already have a similar policy with our homeless shelter. If you're from out of county, you can come and we'll let you stay for 3 days, but then you have to go somewhere else. We do not want to encourage people from outside of Waco to come here, and certainly we won't allow them to live on this property either. We also, I think to this argument, already have a lot of resources specifically to per capita for how big Waco is. And if that argument was true, that indeed does draw more people here, then I don't believe we would have seen a decrease in our homeless population by 60%, which is what we've seen since 2005 when we started doing the point-in-time count, which had about 650 homeless, and now you saw with our 2022 number just around 200, which is a significant decrease. If this argument held true, I believe that number would have gone up. not down. Next question, how will you handle crime and drug use? Like any neighborhood, we cannot always control what happens in an individual's home and what goes on there. But just like any neighborhood, any community, when it spills out into the streets, when it impacts the neighborhood and other people living there, the appropriate authority will get involved, and certainly policies, leases, and the law will dictate the severity of any punitive action, just like any neighborhood. Next question, will residents pay rent? Absolutely. This is the number one rule. This is not a handout. This is a hand up. There are and will be opportunities for what I call dignified income. People need to clean those bathrooms, and we can contract residents to do that or pay a professional. My church in Austin that I came from before moving back to Waco just had an art gallery sale before one of their services about 2 weeks ago. So artists that were living in Community First created art, went and sold it at this church. They sold $19,000 worth of art. That's dignified income. That's how you pay rent. Certainly people with disability collecting checks, they'll use those to pay here as well. Who qualifies to live at Creekside? Quote unquote, the homeless or those who have been on the streets for more than a year in McLennan County. These individuals have either stayed in a shelter, a motel, or have been camping out in tents. Next question, how and what will be the quality of the construction? We will only use high-end, as you saw from the pictures, high-end construction materials that will last for decades to come. Next question, why do some units not have plumbing? As I mentioned earlier, it's half the cost, which then gets passed down to the person renting, but also for the sake of from a public health standpoint, we want to make sure these bathrooms are spotless. And it's not for all of the residents, just for the ones staying at the microhomes. What will security look like? Perimeter fencing, cameras, and on-site personnel. Certainly 20% of the population are what we call missionals, and they have jobs, but there will always be somebody on-site 24/7. What about the proximity to Baylor University? Less panhandling, we believe, will happen on or near campus with this population as it decreases in our community. We believe that aligns with Baylor's Christian core values, and it's also an incredible opportunity for volunteerism, academic internships, and apprenticeships as well. And we believe that Mission Waco already has an incredible relationship with Baylor, and a community like this one, we believe, will only provide more opportunities to build a stronger relationship. Next slide, please. Our leadership team that is here are sitting behind me, Dr. Jimmy Dorrell, Jay Jeffrey, Billy Davis, Dusty Kirk, Dr. Bill Lockhart, Lori Latimer, and myself. I included on the next slide just a preliminary budget to give you an idea, because this is not the exact budget for this property, to give you an idea of the sizable investment that we are considering and wanting to make in our community for this particular population. You'll also notice from these numbers that these are not just cheap buildings. The microhomes alone, a turnkey cost for 2023 is going to cost around $45,000 per unit. That's a significant investment for a population that right now virtually has no opportunity for housing other than low-budget motels. Next slide.
Are those the ones with plumbing or without?
The microhomes are without plumbing.
Yeah, they're 45.
Correct. I mean, that's how nice these. Our hope is that you and I, when we walk onto this property, our first thought is, I could live here. And that's what we mean by dignified housing. That's the end of my presentation. I certainly want to open it up. I don't want to take too much of your time for any questions and answers. If I don't know the answers, I'll just hand it off to Jimmy Dorrell.
So you've got missionals that will be living on site. Are they going to be required to take any type of training to enhance the
Correct,
services?
because they're not going to all be social workers. I think a great example of this is my sister and my brother-in-law and their 4 children actually live in a tiny home at Community First. They've lived there for over 5 years, almost 6 years now. They're both teachers. They sort of have job descriptions on what they're required to do. If someone can't get on a bus line or doesn't want to take a bus, you have residents there who also take them as well. But yes, there will be training. We already do a lot of that training for our staff and how to interact with grace and mercy, but also understanding policies and guidelines for what we can and can't do for this population. So, yes.
Then you'll coordinate with public transportation to be able to get
We hope so. We're talking right now with that department in the city of Waco to be able to
Right.
provide a route.
It's outside the city limits, but in Waco's ETJ. Do they already have infrastructure in place?
They
Water,
do.
sewer, out
There's
that way?
Yes, outside, yes.
Okay.
Right across the street and right across the creek. So it's very accessible. At least this is coming from Bradley and
He would know.
his staff.
I forgot about that other day when we were visiting.
Yeah. And that's been the pro. We've looked at numerous other properties where that was a significant issue, where it would cost millions.
Major cost.
Major costs. And it just, this could be the 25th or 30th property we've looked at. Every property you could ever consider doesn't check all the boxes. But up to date, this has been the best possible property that's checked most of the boxes that we'll need, including utilities.
And how are you guys doing with regards to fundraising for the project?
We're working with the city right now. In fact, we have a presentation tonight that's a part of their strategic housing plan that they will eventually vote on. And so that's still up in the air as far as if we'll have any access to the home ARP funds available. But we're positive something from the city will happen. We already have $1 million commitment towards the project. We would close at the end of June. That property is $1.4 million, and we feel pretty confident we'll have the ability to do that so we can secure the property. And then, of course, we launch into a fundraising campaign that will hopefully raise the rest. But again, we can pass the plate today if you'd like, but I'm not going to instigate it.
Okay, any other questions? All right, it sounds like a very significant change in how we've been handling a certain part of our population, and with a lot of respect and a lot of thought put into it. And it's not the first one. There's others that you mentioned that you can get best practices from. And so.
I don't have a question.
Yes.
But I would like to make just a comment. I noticed on the slide that you all began in this type of work, in 1992? I remember I came to the county in 1995. And so I remember when you submitted your first request to the city of Waco in that small council of governmental entities. And I've always been impressed by the projects that you've taken on and then how they've manifested and benefited the community. This one is really interesting to me because we have been grappling with our homeless population for a while. And what we have seen is that it's not getting smaller. I think someone thought that we could kind of put Band-Aids on it and it would start tapering down, but it seems to just be exploding. The more we don't do anything, the more people we find in that situation. So I think it's a very, I'm trying to think of the word. I see it as not necessarily a challenge, but I do see it as a large project that's going to probably take all of us as a community coming together and at some point supporting you guys. So I guess the bottom line is just let me know how I can interface with you all to help you with this. Like I said, we've been wrestling with a homeless population, and I think the approach that you all are taking, the human side to it, and the fact that it's geared into building people and making them, helping them transition out and become better. So I just applaud you for taking it on. It is a large task. As soon as you all leave, I'll think of that word I'm trying to come up with. But I think it's a wonderful challenge and endeavor.
Thank you.
Well, as everyone, as y'all pointed out, there's already a cost to this population. It's out there, and it's a little hard to manage to a certain extent. The fact that you'd have an area where they can meet with folks that would help them, with our indigent health group and presentations like that. Some of them need access to attorneys and other help to get through programs. To have it in a central location would be really good. And I I applaud you on the leadership that you put together. Very impressive group, and I know people like Commissioner Miller and many members of this court support this idea, and look forward to seeing how we can move forward.
Well, thank you. I appreciate your time.
Everybody deserves an opportunity.
Thank you for that presentation. Excellent.
Is there a motion to accept this presentation for recording purposes?
So moved.
Second.
Have motion second, any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Pass. All right, thank you. And as you know, Steve Hernandez is with the Veteran Service Officer, so many of these folks are veterans, so you'd be working with him too. Thank y'all.
See you, Dusty. See you tomorrow.
All right, thank you. All right, next, let's go to item N1, A through Q. This is discussion or action request for waiver of penalties and interest on property taxes. So Dustin?
Yes, sir. So, Judge, I know we have, Mike is on. I think Scott Wirt is in court as well for any questions. And just going back to last court session, we felt like the consensus was to approve for those individuals that mailed their taxes with some evidence or some indication that they mailed that payment prior to the January 31st deadline and then had a reasonable postmark date. Most of what we have seen of those are postmarked on either February the 2nd or February 3rd. Those are the ones that were recommended for approval and ultimately approved. And then for those people that paid in person or online or some other method that was not mailed, they must have paid on or prior to February the 2nd. And the February the 2nd was the day we opened back up at 10 a.m. And so if it's okay, Mike and I stepped through all these individually. I'll share my screen and we'll start working through them again if that's okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Give me 1 second. Okay, can y'all see that okay?
As good as we can see anything.
Okay. So starting with Alford Company, there were several accounts under this one. This is one they dropped off at the post office on January 31st at 5:20 p.m. And the postmark date on all these accounts were February the 2nd. So that is one we would recommend for approval. Lila Benson was hand carried to the post office so it wouldn't be penalized. Her check was dated January the 30th and the postmark date was February 3rd. This is one we would recommend for approval. Kevin Berger, this is one he does not say when it was mailed. However, the check was dated on January 31st and it was postmarked on February 3rd. I think that's one where, of course, we would like to have a little bit more information, but taking everything together, along with the check date and the postmark date, that is one we would recommend for approval as well. Lucretia Berkeley, this is one that was not related to the weather event and she paid in person on February the 9th. So we would recommend this one not be approved. And if y'all have any questions as I step through, please stop me. Joey Cook was mailed at the West Post Office on January 31st. Check was dated January 30th and it was postmarked on February the 2nd. So we recommend approval. Jeff Dossie handed to the postman on January 31st. This is one I believe he was actually at the tax office, going to drop it off. The postman showed up, and so he handed it to the postman. The check was dated January 31st, and it was postmarked on February 2nd, so we recommend approval. David Gerard was mailed at the West Post Office on January 30th. Check date was that same day on the 30th, and it was postmarked on February the 2nd. Jeffrey Martin mailed in person on January 31st. Check date was January 28th, and the postmark date was February 2nd, so we recommend approval. Donna Montgomery is another one that didn't give specific date, but she tried to put it in the tax box, said it was full, so she mailed it, doesn't give the date. However, her check was dated on January 31st, and the postmark date was February the 3rd, so we recommend approval. Scott and Andrea Moore, they mailed it at the Highway 6 post office on January 31st. Check date was that same date and then postmarked on February the 2nd. Clarissa Monroe, mailed it on January 31st. Check date was January 30th, and it was postmarked on February 3rd, so we recommend approval. Candelario Rendon is another one. He placed it in the mailbox, but doesn't say when. However, the check date was January 30th, and it was postmarked on February 3rd, so we feel it's reasonable to recommend that for approval. Dan and Deborah Rose was actually for Coryell County, so we do not have to consider it. I don't believe it's on the agenda. But Valerie Smith paid in person on February 2nd, so that is one we would recommend for approval. It fits our guidelines from last court session. Joseph Tovar mailed it on January 31st with a check dated January 30th and postmarked on February 2nd, so we would recommend for approval. Barbara Williams mailed it at noon on January 31st. I'm missing the check date on it, but it was postmarked on February the 2nd, so we recommend for approval. Ideal Storage was handed to the lady at the counter at the post office on January 31st. Checks were dated January 30th and January 31st, and all were postmarked on February the 2nd, so we recommend approval. And then these next two are actually down on the supplemental agenda, Judge.
Okay.
Jeff Renault was dropped off at the post office on January 31st, early afternoon, with a check dated January 30th and a postmark date of February the 2nd, so we recommend approval. And Diesel Power Supply Company was taken to the post office on January 30th. That's one I need to check the check date, but we show January 31st, but they were postmarked on February the 2nd. So we would recommend approval on those as well.
Okay. All right, any questions or comments?
There's one under Diesel Power named Leon Weller. Is that part of Diesel Power?
Yes, sir. It would be part of that one. It was all, I believe, paid on the same check.
Gotcha.
Any other questions? Not, what's the pleasure of the court?
I would move to approve the recommendation of, that was just forwarded to us, that was just presented to us as presented.
All right. Second. We have a motion and second. Any other discussion?
Just one question. I think for the most part, they're recommending we approve all of them. Which ones, one more time, are we recommending not to approve? I'm trying to find.
So it would be Lucretia Berkeley. It would be item.
In 1D.
Oh,
Yes, sir.
The one that paid in person on the 9th?
Yes, ma'am. And there was no mention in her request about anything to do with the weather. It was more related to other reasons.
Okay.
And the one from Coryell County, we got that request, but
it came. Yes, sir. So I think it came to us because of Moody ISD being included. And so they've been notified they must request that from Moody and then also to Coryell County.
Okay.
All right, we have a motion and second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Pass. Thank you. Going to L2 regarding the bipartisan infrastructure law discussion and our action on funding, guidelines, opportunities, so on and so forth. Dustin, go ahead.
Judge, I just saw an email from Georgina Ibarra with TLC, and she said she has an emergency situation this morning and asking if she could join court this afternoon. She said she does need county's approval to submit a broadband grant application due on May the 3rd and a DOT grant application. So it looks like we have enough time that we can add her back to that April 4th agenda, if that's okay.
Okay. All right, so I'll make a motion, we defer.
Second.
Have a motion and second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass. All right, going to item L3, A through D. Janelle Foster regarding the Texas Community Development Block Grant Program pertaining to the Elmont Sewer System improvements. Is she on?
Janelle is on. Janelle, if you can hear us, you're muted.
Yes, I am on and I'm here.
All right, thank you.
Always tricky to find that unmute button.
Yes, it is.
Okay, so this is resolutions for the upcoming application. One of them's the resolution to apply, and it's going to be with a $10,000 local match from the McLennan County Water Control Improvement District 2 for your match. They're doing a sewer project, and we're also reaffirming all the civil rights documents that we just did last month. So that's one part of it. The other part of it's the resolutions for signatories, and that's authorizing the judge to be the authorized official and additional folks to be payment processors. And this will all be done through the TDA Go system, and it grants the authority for the duration of this grant and future grants.
All right, any questions for Janelle? Dustin, you've looked at this, you have any recommendations for court?
We recommend for approval, and I guess we can just kind of just step through quickly. L through A was the approval of the resolution authorizing the submission of the grant application. L3B is approval of resolution authorizing county representatives in matters pertaining to the participation in the grant program. L3C is approval of a resolution authorizing the county judge to enter into an interlocal agreement with McLennan County Water Control Improvement District Number 2 for completion of the grant program project for the sewer system or the water system improvements. And L3D is authorization of interlocal agreement with McLennan County Water Control Improvement District Number 2.
Okay. All right, any questions anyone would have? If not, is there a motion to approve L3A through L3D?
So move.
Second.
We have a motion second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Pass. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, going to L3, let's go back to the beginning of the agenda. And on the consent agenda, there's a recommendation to pull A3A for discussion, and which is a HR matter with maintenance of buildings. And then L6H, a pull for presentation or take notice of Commissioner Precinct 2 on an education certificate, I believe.
Can't have my documentation, but I think we're good now.
Okay. All right.
Should we give her a pop quiz to see if she remembers everything?
You know, I wouldn't know what to ask. All right. Any other pulls recommended?
So just E3A now, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yeah, okay.
very good.
Okay, so is there with the exception of the pull mentioned, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So move.
Second?
Have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Oppose? Pass. All right, going back to that pulled item under E3A, a HR matter with maintenance of buildings. So who'll be talking about that?
Must be Anna.
Is that Anna? All right, Anna, are you on?
I am.
Okay.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
This request here is from Maintenance of Buildings, and it's a request to reclassify a vacant position. That position is the Inmate Landscape Supervisor position, position number 1187. The request is to reclassify this position to a Maintenance Technician Tier 3 position. And I included in the outline for the request the current number of maintenance technician positions and their corresponding tier 1, 2, 3, 3 being the highest. There's currently 7 tier 1 technician positions, which requires the least amount of experience, 5 tier 2 level technicians, and currently 2 tier 3, which requires the most amount of trade and higher skill experience. This position or reclassification is being requested because there is an operational need for this higher trade experience and knowledge that would be required of a technician at a tier level 3 And currently, the trustee program is paused, and its continuation is uncertain. And so that's the reasoning or what's prompting the request to reclassify this position. There are 2 other current positions that are also inmate or trustee supervisor type positions. But there are individuals currently filling those positions, and so HR does recommend to review those positions for possible reclassification and going into fiscal year 2024. This reclassification would change this position from the S grade that receives step pay to our B pay grade system. So it would be a B8, which is the pay grade for all of our tier 3 technician positions, and the recommended budget for the tier 3 level would be $55,158. This would be an increase of $8,307 to the budgeted amount, but these positions, as they currently exist, again, they are eligible for step pay, and the individual previously in the position was receiving step pay. So the cost of the position as it currently exists when it was filled is actually higher than that current budgeted amount of $46,851. So again, the request is to reclassify the position from an inmate landscape supervisor to a maintenance technician tier 3. And the maintenance department is requesting that this reclassification take effect today so that we could post it for applications. I can take any questions.
Well, only question I'd have, if 2 of the positions are currently filled and that program is paused, what are those 2 people currently doing?
So from my understanding and information shared by the Director of Maintenance of Buildings, they're currently overseeing custodial staff and temporary custodial staff, both full-time in their positions and also the vendors, and coordinating that work amongst the various departments they service.
Okay, fine, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, any other questions anyone have? If not, what's the pleasure, Court?
Move to approve.
We have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion made and second, any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, pass.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, let's go to item F under budget amendments under F1 regarding the FY23 budget. Francis?
Yes, sir. So I'll go through the listing of the FY23 budget amendments, starting with F1A. So F1A is a budget amendment in the general fund. This is, it's increasing repair and maintenance in the Jack Harwell Detention Center budget. This is to install protective padding to a cell at the detention center. There's a quote, backup attached, and the request is coming from general fund contingencies. F1B1, this is in the permanent improvement fund. There was, in the original budget, a line item to improve or to add gate awnings at the Highway 6 jail for $13,560. The project is going to be, it's going to be started now, but it turns out it'll be more, it's more connected to Jack Harwell, so we want to keep those costs of the building separate. So we need to move that budget, into a Jack Harwell Detention Center line, but as also there is an increased cost to the project, and it is to extend the awning to cover the sidewalk portion as well. And so this is all contained within the permanent improvement fund for that project. F1B2, also in permanent improvement fund. This was approved on the March 7th agenda, but this is to increase the line for Trading House Lake Park for improvements on that property. F1C, this is general fund tax office, specifically the West Substation Department. They are requesting to increase furniture and equipment in that department from other line items within tax office budgets. for the purchase of cameras and related cost. F1D, this is General Fund District Clerk, requesting to move within their department into furniture and equipment to purchase monitors, a scanner, as well as a computer. F1E, this is General Fund JP5. On the March 7th agenda, you approved the agreement for a postage machine. So this is the cost, the annual cost to lease that machine. And so the request is coming from general fund contingencies. F1F, this is General Fund Maintenance of Buildings. And they're requesting to move within their department into furniture and equipment in order to purchase fire extinguishers. F1G, this is General Fund Pretrial Services. The request is to move from the full-time employees line in that department into furniture and equipment. And this equipment, this furniture would be purchased to accommodate their additional position that was approved in the budget this year. That position has not been filled yet, and so there is excess budget in the full-time employee line item. And so that is why the request is coming from a personnel line. But there is an attached detail of that furniture purchase, and then Judge Bain is here if there's any questions. F1H, this is Fund 418, which is our venue project fund. There is a project ongoing that's the Area B demolition package project, the Paul Tyson area. There was a change order that was done earlier in the year. We didn't do a budget amendment at that time, but we are now cleaning up that line. So this is making that line whole so that it can accommodate the full cost of the project. And just a reminder there, a portion of that project is being charged to ARPA funding. And then F1I, this is General Fund for Elections, and they are requesting to move within their department into furniture and equipment to purchase stand-up desk, and this will also cover if there's any shipping cost associated with the purchase. And that's all. Any questions?
On, let's see, F1H, you said a part of it would be charged to ARPA, so it'd be a part that qualifies. I guess it doesn't all qualify, is what you're saying, but.
So we, you decided to code 500,000 of the project to ARPA, but it is under the revenue replacement portion, the 10 million. So it didn't have to meet a specific criteria. It's just falling under that revenue replacement, so it can be used for any governmental service.
So going forward, we would use ARPA first as long as it qualifies, right? And then bond.
Yes, yes. And for this project specific, you know, we charged the first 500 over to ARPA, so that is spent, done. So we would need for any further projects, we'd need, you know, very specific approval from you all to charge any projects to that grant. Yes, sir.
And so sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say our intent was to, you know, hopefully keep as much of that 10 million available for the downtown jail renovation, since those capital projects are so narrow inside the final rule.
Okay. Questions?
When we do like F1C, F1D, and it pertains to security equipment or monitor scanners, Dale, is that coordinated with IT before that goes through them?
It should be, yes.
Okay. So they've signed off on this and everything as the equipment, what they can do with it and so forth?
Yes, they should. You know, that's not something we check specifically, but they should have contacted IT. If it's something building related, you know, of course, we want to make sure that TJ's group is involved.
Right.
And so, yes,
Okay.
so we try to make sure that all the parties are.
Right, the ones that will be involved possibly in it.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
I had a question, because I know when computer and computer-related purchases are made, they usually come out of the IT budget, because they've done these
So-
assessments. On this one, is this coming out of IT, or is this coming out of the district clerk's budget?
It's coming out of the district clerk's budget. So that IT assessment line is, you know, what IT determines at the beginning of the year. This is what we need to replace. This is what we need to update, you know, per their recommendation. Throughout the year, you know, sometimes somebody wants to add something, they want something in addition to that listing. And so just to be consistent, if those things pop up during the year, we charge those to the department specifically.
Okay, but it's still been okayed and approved by IT for the purchase?
Yes,
Or is this
yes.
separate and apart from the assessments?
It's separate, but IT is should still be involved. And they still place the order and receive the order and
Install
it and all of those things, so.
I guess my question is this in line with the assessment for that department, or is this in addition and new and
Above and
above?
beyond.
That
So,
was kind of my
and
question.
I don't,
And I know you,
if some,
I'm not putting that on you to
no, I can find out, you know, sometimes a computer
will
just stop working during the year. And so, you know, all those things, of course, can always be, you know, anticipated. And so in the IT assessments line, they don't, you know, we don't have like a, you know, like, we think this, that, you know, we're gonna have to replace this many for that, you know, that stop working during the year. So those things, those types of instances, it's going to come out of the department's budget. It's just easier to manage that way. But we can find out, I can find out more information about this one specifically.
Okay.
Under F1I, I noticed the purchase, you know, stand-up desk. Is there also a stand-up chair that goes with it? Just checking.
Well, and, you know, we bought quite a few of those, and just what I hear, they're not all being utilized. And I'm just wondering if, you know, if there's area that has one that's not being utilized, we can move it to another area or something, but just think about that. I don't know who would check into that, but.
You know, and if a department has something that's not being utilized, you know, they should contact purchasing, it should go over to surplus, and then, you know, departments are free to,
Well, and
take
Ben
any-
just asked me that question. I have not received any back to my office.
Okay, all right.
That's a really good point, because what can happen sometimes is we approve the purchase of things, and they end up being over there in that room where things go that you don't want anymore.
Yes.
And
If we see a request and we have it, then we will let them know that we have one. But like I say, on this particular instance, I have not received a stand-up desk come back to me to issue to somebody else.
Okay, all right, thank you. All right, if there's no other questions, is there a motion to approve F1A through F1I?
So moved.
second,
Motion second, any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, pass. Okay, Judge Bain, you have some furniture. Thank you. All right. Okay, I'd like to recess for 5 minutes.
Thank you.
Okay, it's 10:25. Let's call court back into order. All right, going to, under bids, RFPs, RFQs, under G1A, or under G1 is authorization and recommendation. Ken?
Yes, sir, and I'm sorry this is a little bit long, but it's for our aggregates. We received bids from Green Dream International, a new company, Victory Companies. I believe they're out of Georgetown. Well, no, a little bit closer. Capital Aggregates in Arcosa. But I'll just read through these real quick for the record. On the Type B Grade 3, picked up on our trailers, Green Dream International bid $22 per ton. Victory Companies bid $23 per ton. And Capital Aggregates bid $30 per ton. For Type C, D, and Grade 3, McLennan County picked up load trucks, trailers. Victory Companies at $25 per ton. Capital Aggregates at $30 per ton. On Type B, C, D, Grade 4, picked up on McLennan County trucks. Victory Companies at $25 per ton. Capital Aggregates at $26 per ton. No one bid on the Type B, C, D, Grade 4, S2. Type B, C, D, Grade 5. Victory Companies at $23 per ton and Capital Aggregates at $24 per ton. The Type C, Grade 5, S2, Arcosa bid at $9 per ton. And the Type B, D, Grade 5S, we didn't receive any bids. Concrete sand, we received a bid of $10.50 per ton. That's picked up on our trucks. On Type B, C, D, Grade 3, delivered, we received a bid from Victory Companies at $46 per ton and Capital Aggregates at $61.01 per ton. For the Type B, C, D, Grade 4 delivered, we received a bid from Victory Companies for $48 per ton and Capital Aggregates at $57.01 per ton. Again, we didn't receive any bids on the Type B, C, D, Grade 4, S2. The Type B, C, D, Grade 5 delivered. We received a bid from Victory Companies at $45 per ton and Capital Aggregates at $55.01 per ton. We did not receive any bids on the Type B, C, D, Grade 5S for concrete sand. It's recommended that we grant the award for aggregate surface treatment and concrete sand for pickup and delivered to all companies based on pricing and availability.
Any questions?
Think we could get aggregates to come down a penny on their ton?
We can always say we're not paying that penny.
Okay, no questions, what's the pleasure of the court?
Make a motion to approve the purchasing director's recommendations with regards to the aggregate.
Second.
Motion second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass. Going to items G1B, McLennan County Trading Post Road Creek Crossing Improvement. Ken?
Yes, sir. We received 4 bids on this. We received a bid from Bear Creek Construction with a base, well, I just read the grand total. with a grand total price of $737,766. We've received a bid from DJ Hansen Construction Corporation, grand total of $628,624.50. We received a bid from Meckel Contracting for $535,586.51, and Pierce Construction for $573,215.11. It's recommended that we grant the award for the low water crossing improvements for the Trading Post Road Creek Crossing to Meckel Construction as the low bid.
Okay, I have one question.
Yes.
Now, this is going to be the company that's going to come in and replace that failed infrastructure and
Yes,
put in a
ma'am.
new one?
Yes, ma'am, they are.
So,
And
have we
we've-
done business with Meckel before?
Yes, we have, and successfully.
Okay.
Are they ready to start? Have they already, because I think the process before this was the water study, the water flow study, I guess the environmental factors that were going to impact the program, impact the project. Is Zane on? So,
Zane should be on. Zane?
okay. I'm
Good
trying
morning,
to-
everyone.
Good morning, how are you? I'm trying to ascertain what we have done so far and what this contractor is gonna come in and do. Because
So what has
see we
happened
have
thus-
the other Lingaman Foster contract on the agenda for today for the soil, the testing, material testing.
That's correct. Thus far, we have had a drainage study determine how much flow is coming down through the culverts. And then that allowed our engineer to make plans and specifications. And so then we bid those plans and specifications out, and Meckel is the lowest bid contractor. He is ready to go. He will have to get his bonds provided and other documentations. We'll have to have a pre-construction meeting. And then what else is on the agenda today is Langerman Engineering to do the testing while the contractor Meckel is doing the work. So he'll remove the failed culverts and put in the new culverts. And as he's putting in the new culverts, he'll have to compact the soil around the culverts in lifts, and he'll have to get proper compaction. Also, the concrete will be tested. So all the testing will be done, if approved by Commissioner's Court, through Langerman Engineering, and the county will pay those costs.
Okay. I know we haven't come to that agenda item, but I did notice that Langerman is saying that before we execute their agreement, the contractor needs to agree to the terms that they write in their agreement that affect the contractor. So are we going to award it to the contractor today and then allow those two parties to talk? Because what he says is that we suggest the contractor review the attached estimate for general conformance with his understanding and expectations of their requirements.
Right. The idea there is that the contractor would understand that so many testings have to occur while he is constructing the job. And that's essentially what he's agreeing to, that he is going to not build the whole thing and say, okay, I'm ready for it to be tested. He's going to he's going to call the testing company when he needs tests run, and he needs to, be engaged in the testing process. And if any of the tests fail, then that's on him to pay the testing company. And then if the tests pass, then the county will pay for those testing. And that's standard protocol, that's SOP. And if he does not agree to the testing and testing protocols, then we may have to revisit awarding this project to Meckel. But he was agreeable to the previous jobs he's done for the county.
But I would think, and I'm sure you all did in the walkthrough, I'm sure, in anticipation of them responding to the bid, they know that that's gonna be a requirement, that they work hand in hand with our engineer?
That is correct. Yeah,
Okay.
they work with the engineer and with the testing company.
Okay, any other questions, comment, Francis?
And so just another note, so this isn't currently budgeted. And so the funding source is the other, I guess we need to, if we want to talk about that now. Dustin, are you on or available?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I know, we had, through allocating ARPA funding, and what we were calling the buckets, there was a piece that was for low water crossings. I don't know if this specific project fits in that, but I think that's something we need to look into.
Yes, and I know the low water crossing, it's pretty narrow, but this may very well fit. So this is something we can get over to Forvis and ask for their review.
And we can get that information before the next agenda, and then, if not, we'll find another, either bond funds or, where we already have other countywide road and bridge, and we'll bring a budget amendment for you to review and approve.
I know we've had expenditures attributed to this project in the past. Zane, do you know where those expenditures have been, how they've been covered? And did you have any idea where this project money was going to come from? Did you have any ideas?
Yes, so in the past, to answer your first question, we had a bridges and low water crossings fund in the budget, and it was not allocated to any specific project. It was a lump sum of money that we would pull from to pay for flood studies, engineering, land surveying, geotechnical costs, all the soft upfront costs before the construction. And then if we had money left over, we would pay for the construction as well. This past budget year, it was requested that we allocate that money to specific projects. And of course, it's always difficult to determine which projects will be ready for construction during the coming fiscal year. And so, answer your second question, I would say that we would take some of the money from the projects that are not going to be ready for this fiscal year to pay for this project.
Yeah, so like he was saying, any capital project needs to be approved by you all specifically. In this case, of course, it was bid out, but the amount we have in general fund currently is just, this bridge isn't included in that. So we can, move the funding around. We'll get with Zane and, see if that's possible, but then also look into the ARPA funding, because you had already wanted to allocate some of that to this type of cost. So we'll keep you posted.
Right, and I think, there's a significant amount of bridge projects that we're gonna be, crossing projects that we're gonna be working on over the next couple of years. And so, between now and budget time, we might need to talk about how we look at those maybe a little differently and how we manage those, so we can be efficient and get in a mode of doing them and get them paid for and move forward.
The other source of funding would be the infrastructure, the federal.
Right.
With TLC as a possibility.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
And we did set aside kind of in our ARPA bucket, 2.5 million for low water crossings and culvert type projects.
Okay. All right, good. Any other questions? If not, what's the pleasure of the court?
I would move that we accept the recommendation from the purchasing department and grant the award for the low water crossing improvements to MECO Contracting.
Second.
Have a motion second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass. All right, going to item G2, authorization of renewal for license and license and place vending machines on McLennan County property.
Yes, sir. We currently have a contract with Automatic Chef Canteen, and the kind of the terms of the contract, we get a commission rate of 23% with a guaranteed monthly minimum of $1,400. The president of Automatic Chef would like to renew for additional year with no price increase. This is the fourth renewal option if approved by the court. The term would be from 6/1/2023 through 5/31/2024.
Okay. So on the commission rate, that's what we get?
Yes, yes, sir. We get 23% of what they make on the machines.
Or 1,400, whichever.
Yeah, or whichever's, yeah.
Okay. And then, do we look at the price of the product, like when we have a bid out today?
I think we experienced some increases last year. This year, there's no increases.
Okay.
Or at least, they haven't asked for any yet.
Make a motion to approve the recommendation from our person director to award the vending contract to Automatic Chef.
Second.
Have motion second, any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, pass. Under H, under contracts, under local agreements, under H1, reauthorization of current property use agreement with Waco Downtown Farmers Market parking lot. Dustin?
And this has been working very well, and they wish to renew this. This may be the last year we renew, but it would run through February 20th, 2024. And like I said, this has been working well for the county and also for the farmers market.
Okay. Yeah, and we received a lot of compliments for allowing them to use that too, so it's good for downtown.
Mm-hmm.
All right. What's the pleasure of the court?
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and second. No other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass. Dustin, if you will, pick up the agenda from here. I'm losing.
Yes, sir. H2 is reauthorization of current memorandum of understanding with Hillcrest Baptist Medical Center for McLennan County Indigent Healthcare Program. Heather?
Good morning. This is just a standard reauthorization of the current MOU that's been in place, and this would extend it for an additional 2 years, just stating that they'll remain a provider to our indigent healthcare program.
All right, any questions?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right, have a motion second. Any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass.
H3 and H4 are both interlocal agreements. H3 is the interlocal agreement with the City of Robinson for road work on Cooksey Lane, and H4 is an interlocal agreement with the City of Bruceville Eddy for road work on Temple, Osborne, Archie, North Mesquite, and Crescent Creek. Commissioner Smith?
Motion to approve H3 and H4.
Second.
I have a motion and second. Any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass.
H5 is authorization of agreement for reimbursement for mental health counseling services with Heart of Texas Council of Governments. This is for juvenile probation, and this is done through a juvenile justice grant through the governor's office, but the services are provided, and HotCog submits those reimbursement requests on behalf of the county, and it totals, the maximum is $15,553.18.
Okay, any questions? If not, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion second. Any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass.
H6 is authorization of pricing supplement agreement with TransUnion Risk and Alternative Data Solutions for searches reports for the sheriff's office. David Ives, are you available?
Yes, I am, Dustin. So this is for our TLO service, and we've had an increased usage in the number of reports that we've been requesting from them just due to increased caseload. And they let us slide for a few months with the increased usage just to see if it was going to taper back off, and it has not. So we need to increase that to do the right thing by them and pay them for the services that we're actually utilizing.
All right, any questions? Not motion, is there a motion to approve?
So move.
Second.
A motion second. Any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass.
Thank you.
H7, authorization of interlocal agreement with the Heart of Texas Council of Governments for the emergency notification services from Everbridge. HotCog contracts with Everbridge to make these notification service available in the county, and they use State Homeland Security Program grant funds, so there is no cost to the county for this agreement.
Okay, any questions? Now is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second. Have a motion second. Any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass.
H8 regarding the agreement with Leal Snacks LLC for Leal Snacks Micro Markets, authorization of renewal request for the Jack Harwell Detention Center. Ken?
Yes, when we took over Jack Harwell, we basically assumed the contract that had been set up prior to our taking over. The agreement was between LaSalle and Corrections, but again, we took over that with the takeover. But Lee Alice would like to continue that micro market in the Jack Harwell, and that's with no additional changes to the agreement. And again, if this is approved, we will run for another year.
So is there a commission rate that we get on it like we do with automatic chef?
No, I don't believe so. It's like they have a small store in there with a kiosk for charging our employees for the foodstuffs and drinks, but I don't believe we get a commission rate on that.
Okay.
We do.
All right. Any questions? If not, what's the pleasure? Go.
Make a motion to approve H8.
Second. Motion made and second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passed.
H9, authorization of planned maintenance agreement proposal with Capstone Mechanical for the boiler maintenance services for various county buildings. TJ?
Good morning, everyone. We'd like to pull this with no action, so we can take this off the list. We're gonna look at some other avenues to make this happen.
Okay. All right. Full with no action. All right. Next.
All right, H10 is discussion and/or action regarding Empathway agreement for transportation of deceased relating to bid 18-023. And Reagan's passing out some information and amendment for this. Ken, do you want to step through, or would you like for me to?
I guess I can step through this. First, let me say that the information that's in the previous agenda is not correct. That was a first offering, and we've been negotiating ever since. But in our conversations with Larry, with Empath, that we did come to realize that he came to us telling us he was losing money on the transports. We came to realize that that was true, and that we should work on our agreement with them. And with much discussion and going back and forth, we kind of came to a resolution on this. Let me say this too, that we've done outside checking to see if there's a reasonableness for the updated charges that he's presenting to the court. For the transport to the ME, there and back, we initially had a $195 charge, $195 charge. That has gone up to $365 there, $365 back, with a $60 charge for the body bag. The previous charge for the body bag was about $45, so the body bag charge went up as well. We had in our amendment last year an intra-county transport. That intra-county transport fee was an amount of $185, and that has increased to $225. We had the COVID testing at $75. That remains the same. And in our amendment last year, we negotiated a storage fee for unclaimed bodies of $500 per month, a flat fee for use of their storage facilities. Again, checking with some outside sources, we come to realize that these are fairly reasonable prices, and we again, this is an amendment to that contract, but we present this information to the court for your consideration. Dustin, do you want to add anything to that?
No, I think Ken summarized it well. I guess one thing, so previously Ken had mentioned that intra-county transport fee. It was being included on bodies that were removed and transported to the medical examiner's office. So all in, with the 195 to Dallas or to the ME and back, plus the 185 transport fee and the body bag, we were paying about $620 round trip for body bag and the trip to the ME's office. With these rates, it will be $790. So it is an increase. It is much less than what was originally being proposed, which would have been around $1,100 or a little over $1,100. So, and as Ken said, we did a lot of due diligence and a lot of internet research and checking around, and we do feel that these fees are reasonable.
And what are the factors that would cause the remains to remain in refrigeration for, what determines the length of time?
So Judge, go ahead, Mike.
What usually determines length of time is when family members come forward to make, you'll either have family members come forward and make their own arrangements and the body is removed, or you'll have family members come and go through the proper burial process or proper cremation process, and they'll be removed. What we get sometimes, though, is there's nobody claiming the body. And so we'll have a period of time where we're trying to find anyone that has the ability to make a decision for that body. Sometimes we've had some there for quite a while that process took place.
Okay, so we will get notification, I understand, like monthly on remains that are in storage.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That way we don't lose track of it. We keep front of mind.
Right. And the $500 fee is a very fair fee. Otherwise, we'd be paying per body and a daily fee.
Yeah.
So
this is $500 per month, regardless of whether we have a body there or not?
well, we're always going to have a body there.
Okay.
Yes.
And so,
we're just gonna make sure of that?
But-
well,
Well,
that's why I want an invoice, or notification, some kind of report that shows what we have in.
I actually have
inventory.
received those reports, and so does Heather.
Okay.
Heather's regularly.
Keep an eye on them so we don't forget about them.
Yes.
Well,
we do.
the main thing is there will be times when we have quite a few in there. And even if we have a month where maybe we don't have anybody in there, it still spreads out. I mean, that $500 flat fee is better than paying per person.
Yeah.
Say the next month we have 3 and it's
Gotcha.
like, I forget how much it was a day, but it was significant.
Well, I'll just share one of the figures that I got was for like the first week it's $75, and then for every week after that per body, $75 for the week, and then after that $85 per week. So you get to those
Numbers quickly. Yeah.
quickly. Yes.
All right, my question is, if we took our old rates over a period of, let's say, last year, and we converted that to our new rates, what is the total increase cost to the county?
So Commissioner, just looking at the transport piece, and it looks like Francis helped pull some figures before, around somewhere north of 200 to 230 is what we average sending to the medical examiner's office each year. And so if you look at this $170 increase from the 620 up to 790, that would be about a $34,000 increase. So probably a $30,000 to $40,000 increase on this contract on the transportation piece.
And this is not medical examiner costs, this is just transportation costs.
That's correct. And I do want to say Empath had proposed some alternate solutions, but it involved the county buying cargo vans and the Empath providing the staff. We didn't feel like that was feasible. They also offered to manage all the logistics, but it would have been waiting for a body to return from the ME before they took one. So we thought that would cause issues with families, with the JPs, with the funeral homes. So, we felt it was best to look at this way. And another option was to redo our contract and add, Empath would add an ME's office locally. So then we directed Larry to visit with the JPs to gauge their level of interest on that. So we feel like this is the best solution for us right now.
Can I ask Dustin? Sure. Dustin, when a JP orders a body sent to Dallas or Austin, wherever they send, and it's in another jurisdiction, another community, do they pay that cost, or does the county pay that cost?
If it's
within the city limits of another, and the JP orders it sent to Dallas, who pays for that to happen?
I believe we do. I believe it's all the county.
Yes.
So we don't,
Right.
we don't charge back those communities for that happening in their community and us being responsible?
Just like.
No, and we're not
Just like the
allowed
jail.
by law. to do
Just
so.
like the jail.
It's an obligation that we assume for the taxpayers of the county.
I think as we continue to grow, I think one of the things we're gonna have to, in my mind, look at would be having our own ME here, or at least partnering with some counties around here instead of those costs. I'd like to see somewhere in the future, at least some discussion about that, and what it would entail.
Great.
Thank you.
Anything else? If not, what's the pleasure of the board?
Move to approve the third amendment to contract, is that correct? Would that be the correct way to say it?
That's
Dustin, or-
correct.
That's correct. I'll second that. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass.
All right, H11 is authorization of professional services agreements and related proposals with Lingerman Foster Engineering. H11A is regarding Trading Post Road Creek crossing improvements, construction materials testing proposal. Zane?
Yes, sir. So this is the testing proposal related to the previous item we discussed for Trading Post Road culvert replacement. And the estimated cost for the testing on that project is $14,253 by Lingerman Engineering. And this has been reviewed and is recommended for approval.
All right. Go ahead. You have another one right after that. We'll get them in a bunch.
And this is H11B. Sorry, Zane, go ahead.
Sure. So H11B is also for Lingerman Engineering. This is a testing proposal for $8,400, which includes traffic control. That's for Hamilton Drive and Farm Miller Road. There's gonna be a total of 4 borings on those 2 roads. Well, total of 4 borings, period. And the reason these borings are needed is because we are expecting the contractor on Chapel Road and widening improvements project to detour the traffic onto Farm Miller Road and Hamilton Drive for temporarily reroute the traffic, and that's going to probably tear up those 2 sections of road, and we're going to have to come back and rebuild those roads a little bit. We need to know how those roads are built now, what's underneath the pavement surface, and their proposal is recommended for approval. And then the next item is H12. Okay, so that's a different company. So
Is there a motion to approve H1A and is that H?
11.
Excuse me, H11A and H11B.
So move.
Second.
Motion made and second. Any other discussion? No discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass. All right, go ahead, Zane.
So on H12, this is a follow-up to the proposal by RPS Infrastructure Incorporated that was approved by the court last session. And this is the formal agreement that goes with that. Apologize. And so this is the formal agreement that will formalize what all they're going to be doing and the amounts of dollars put to each work item that they'll be doing. And that proposal, that agreement for the proposal, and it includes the proposal, has been reviewed and is recommended for approval.
Okay, any questions? If not, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Motion second, any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, pass.
H13, authorization of equipment rental schedule agreement with Kirby Smith Machinery for Road and Bridge Precinct 4. Commissioner Perry?
It's just the annual leasing of reclaimer. We are working through Kirby Smith to get the required insurance wording on the certificate of insurance, but we are requesting the court's approval on the renting of the, or leasing of the equipment. So I'd make a motion to approve H13.
Second.
We have a motion and second, any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, pass.
H14, authorization of customer service agreement with RW Lone Star Security for shredding services for Jack Harwell Detention Center. Ken?
Yes, the current agreement, both parties would like to renew the agreement. RW Lone Star would continue to provide 2 95-gallon totes to be picked up and shredded on site with a minimum stop fee of $99. If approved, it would be, again, for this next year.
Okay, any questions?
It says minimum. What does that mean? Is there a maximum?
Well, if they came and only one tote was full, they're still going to charge $99, but I don't think that.
Never happened?
That never happens.
No, okay.
It's just wording.
Okay, but there's nothing above 99?
No.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
All right, any questions, any other questions? If not, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and second, any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, pass.
H15, authorization of renewal agreement with Core EMR, electronic medical record software and license for the McLennan County Jail. Ken?
Yeah, I spoke with Devon Guyman with Core EMR and with the Sheriff's Office. We'd like to continue that agreement. Our current rate is $1.25 per inmate per month. They're seeing roughly 1,340 inmates at both facilities, and if approved, the new term would be from 2/22/23 through 2/21/24.
Same rate.
Same rate.
Okay.
All right, any other questions?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and second, any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, pass.
Moving down to item J, J1, it's regarding McLennan County downtown jail remodel for courtrooms and office space. This is agreement with Brinkley Sergeant Wigington, authorization of invoice number 5. This invoice totals $9,400 and includes the ME schematic design and also some of their programming and conceptual layout work, and it's recommended for approval.
So
Any
moved.
questions?
So moved.
I'd have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Have a motion second, any other discussion? Discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, pass.
Under item L, grants, grant proposals, L1 is our ARPA discussion. L1A is authorization of American Rescue Plan budget adjustment. Francis?
Yes. So this is adjusting the budget, of course, for the ARPA fund. The adjustments that are being made on this amendment that's one increase to our COVID-19 testing line. So those are just ongoing costs that the county is incurring. There's an adjustment to the line item for the Sheriff's Office thermal cameras that you approved on a prior agenda. An adjustment to the Jack Harwell Detention Center fire alarm system, also that you approved on a prior agenda. And then close to the bottom, there's an increase to the county legal counsel line, which is also ongoing costs that the county is incurring each month. So it's a total adjustment of $697,467.06.
All right, any questions?
So we're doing about $2,500 worth of testing a month for COVID? Is that what that means?
That may cover more than 1 month.
That covers more than 1 month?
Yes,
Okay.
I think so. And of course, there are a lot of other projects that are in the works and talking, but this budget amendment is just based on actions that you've taken for specific projects, for specific dollar amounts. So.
Thank you.
Of course.
All right, any other questions? Not, what's the pleasure of the court?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion made, second, any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, pass.
L1B is authorization of second amended ARPA agreement with the McLennan County Fire Protection Association to add radios to the project. Commissioner Perry, did you want to kind of give an overview of this? I know Mike has worked on the agreement.
Sure, be glad to. The city manager from Crawford came in, visited with Commissioner Smith and myself. What had happened is they were offered radios, but because their dispatch is still not the primary dispatch downtown here, the Fire Association was not going to award radios based off that. But after we talked with them and let them know that was not our vision was to put radios in all the apparatus that our volunteer fire departments have. Once they understood that, they went back and visited with Crawford and Moody, and that's where you'll see the additional.
I think it turned out to be 11.
11, yes, the additional 11 radios. That's where they're going. They're going to Moody and Crawford.
Okay, any other questions? If not, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Have motion second, any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, pass.
Under L1C, authorization of beneficiary agreements for ARPA funding. L1C1 is McLennan County Investment Fund, and L1C2 is Syntex African American Chamber of Commerce. Mike, did you want to discuss these?
Yes, these are just, it's nomenclature. It's the change of the name from subrecipient agreement to beneficiary agreement. Like some of the others, once the definitions became more clear and we talked to our consultant about it, the consultant agreed that these could be changed to beneficiary agreements, which is good for both us and the recipient because there's a lot less paperwork and a lot less oversight and reporting that has to be done for a beneficiary agreement. So it's just changing the name from a subrecipient agreement to a beneficiary agreement. And in the first paragraph, it voids, supersedes the prior subrecipient agreement.
Okay, any questions anyone have? If not, is there a motion to approve L1C and L1C, L1C1 and L1C2?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right, that motion second, any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, pass.
All right, moving down to item L3E, discussion and possible action on award of engineering services contract. This is application and authorization of the county judge to execute subsequent engineering contract if funded. Ken?
Yes, I presented this to you on the Form P508. That's the form that has to be submitted to for this project. Anyway, we received responses from MRB Group, Mundo and Associates, TLC Engineering, and TRC Engineers. The evaluator team was myself, Will Jones, Dustin Chapman, Zane Dunham, and Cinnamon Alexander. The best evaluated response was from the TRC engineers with a score of 97.6. We have used TRC successfully in a past CDBG grant program, and so it's recommended that we use TRC engineers.
All right, any questions? Is there a motion to approve that recommendation?
Move.
Have a second? I'll second. Any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, pass.
L4 is regarding the Homeland Security Grants Division Border Prosecution Unit Grant, ratification of grant application, related resolution forms for the FY 2024 TAG Prosecutor Grant. This is the Texas Anti-Gang grant. The DA's office is requesting grant funding totaling $149,392.50, and it is just ratification of that grant application.
All right, any questions? If not, is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Have a motion second, any other discussion? No discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass.
Under item M, M1, purchasing authorization of online auction with Renee Bates related ad in order declaring certain property as surplus and authorizing the disposition of same. Ken?
Yeah, we have 26 slots put together for an auction to be held. A lot of computer electronics accessories behind our office, and then just different items, a lot of office type items. I see a Husqvarna riding mower, old appliances, old copier. Also, Road Bridge 3, we have a Trailmaster tanker trailer and a modern rotary cutter and for a John Deere rotary cutter. But anyway, add to run in the Waco Herald 3/31/23, 4/7/23, 4/14/23. We appreciate you approving the auction and advertising.
Okay, any questions? Do you ever use, we trade in much?
We do when it's,
This probably wouldn't qualify, none of this would qualify for trade.
it's kind of like you got to have a like item kind of in mind that you're going to get.
Yeah, right.
So, yeah.
Okay. All right, thank you. All right, I'll make a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass.
M2, tax assessor collector authorizations regarding designation of McLennan County homestead exemptions for the 2023 tax roll. The appraisal district is requesting the status of our homestead exemption to be offered on the 2023 tax roll. Currently, we offer on the county homestead 20% with a $5,000 minimum, and then the county 65 and over or disabled homestead 20%, $5,000 minimum plus $35,000.
All right, any questions?
Yeah, and isn't the 20% the max that you can offer?
That is the max. I believe the only thing that we could change would be that $35,000 amount on the 65 and over or disabled homestead.
Okay.
There's a good chance that it's all gonna change coming out of this legislative session too.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
But I know we need to go ahead and approve it, so I'd make a motion to approve M2.
Second.
Motion made second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass.
M3, human resources, discussion and interaction regarding office reconfiguration. TJ?
Yes, we are seeking approval to make some minor modifications down in the HR office suite. So currently she has 2 full-time employees sharing an office space. So what we're asking for is relocation of a door and door frame within the suite that's associated with the small training room that is outside the secured area. So what this would do is kind of put the entrance to that singular office behind the secured doorway and allow them to use it as permanent office space instead of a unsecured training/meeting space. So that's kind of the request that we're making on that one. Does anybody have any questions?
Any questions?
Not a question, but a comment, Judge, very quickly. And I understand this is a small item and not, probably needs to be done, but unless it's an emergency, I really wish some of these items would be placed on our, in our budget process when we plan our budget for each year to be included, so we're not constantly hit with changes during the year. That's just my comment.
Okay, thank you.
I could agree with that, and also, and I'm not saying that I disagree with the recommendation from building maintenance, but it seems that we consume a lot of their time with putting in new walls and taking down, readjusting spaces the way we know we already have them. You know, it's kind of like we're customizing office space, almost like HGTV. You know, an elected official will go in there and they decide they want the door over here, and they want, because we just did this downstairs for HR and and totally transfixed what the basement looks like. I just don't know a efficient use of employee time to customize walls and doors and things of that nature if they're not affecting the productivity of the office. And that's why I think I hear them saying they do. I'm not really sure how many people are down in HR. But this is not the only department that has the maintenance of buildings department redecorating, for lack of a better way to say it. My comment.
We control the budget, so this is where the final decision's made, so keep that in mind. Elected officials, you know how they are, and, so.
Well, Judge, I'd move to approve this at this time, but I would like to consider the fact that I think there's a better time for doing this, and that's during the budget planning process.
Okay, so noted. All right, we have a motion. Is there a second? I'll second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Oppose? Pass.
M4, Justice of the Peace Precinct 5, discussion and/or action regarding building modifications. TJ?
Yes, so M4 is a request by the new judge at JP5, and we have a couple of items that will go down. So item number one is kind of a security-related request. She currently parks her vehicle out in front of the office complex there, so there's been some concern that the general public may recognize her vehicle in the neighborhood that she lives in. So she is requesting that we install a crushed concrete or a gravel drive that would allow her to park behind the building in kind of a out of sight, out of mind manner. So I've got some dollar figures associated with that. I think Commissioner Smith has actually visited with her as well, and we've got a game plan as far as labor costs goes. Option or item number two is security related as well. This is kind of to install a divider wall in the courtroom itself, much like we have throughout the courthouse. It's a wall that kind of separates the well area and the general public. So from a safety concern, it just keeps folks away from the judge and her court staff.
You're talking about like a short wall?
Right.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Just a pony wall.
Pony wall, yeah.
Item number three, just interior traffic flow. They've utilized the old grand jury meeting room as an office space. So they're asking for a cased opening in between the main office suite and that office, just to allow traffic back and forth from different personnel. Not a very big item at all, pretty easy scope wise. So I don't see any issues with that one. Number four is a much bigger request, but we've kind of heard this one before from different JPs out there at 5, is an addition to the building. The building itself, after doing the research, is about 860 square feet smaller than the rest of our buildings, smaller than our smallest JP building. So I think there probably is a need there for sure. They do not have a lot of storage space. They're pretty crammed as it goes. I think there are 5 personnel on the JP side of the building to include the judge. So it's rather compact. So I think what we're asking for on this line item is, if we're in agreement to moving forward with it, we would like to get an architect or engineer involved to come up with a basic construction budget and bring that back to the court on this particular line.
TJ, do we own that, or is that one we lease?
We own that one. I believe we do.
We own it.
Yes, we don't lease it.
Okay.
Oh, because I remember when we built it.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. We don't
Mhm.
have any buildings.
Yeah. I visited with the judge over there, especially when it comes to item number 4 and her wanting to enlarge the building. Is she landlocked, or is there land either to her left or her right of that building? I can't remember.
We do have ample space to the left and the right of the building to make a modification in this kind of manner. And we do have a little bit of space in the back of the building as well.
Okay, it's very small. I remember when we built JP5, I was under the impression that we were building it as a twin building to JP2, JP and Constable 2. And so when I went in there, And I'd been in there before with Judge Villarreal. I guess I didn't pay it that much attention, but with Judge Lucy kind of pointing it out to me, I didn't realize how much smaller that it actually is. There's hardly any space for our staff. There's hardly any space out in the common area for people waiting to see either the judge or the constable. I'm kind of glad that, I thought it was brick, so the fact that it's not brick may even make our tasks a little easier. And I do support her wanting to create some type of drive so that she can access her vehicle by coming out of that back entrance door. I just think it helps with having to, you know, come in contact with so many people from the public while you're trying to, you know, come in and out, you know, especially if she's trying to get to court. But I could support her recommendations based on the walkthrough I did with her.
I would concur with the Commissioner. Normally, this would be something I'd be saying, hey, why aren't we waiting again till the budget session? But she wasn't here when the budget was created and coming on in the middle of the budget year. These are some things that she sees that she needs that would make her job easier and safer. I would ask TJ, where we cut that sidewalk and put that concrete down, or crushed concrete or gravel down, it would be to our benefit not to try to make the expansion in the same place so we end up having to cut the sidewalk again or move the gravel again. So that's just a comment, so.
Yes, I absolutely agree. And we may change the orientation of that driveway to be on the left side of the building, because I think if we truly are going to expand the JP space, which is the right side of the building, we're going to need that over there. So envision that that picture that Dustin put up a while ago, just kind of flipped on the other side of the building.
That's kind of what I was thinking. Yeah. All right, thank you.
I support the 1, 2, and 3, and I support number 4, but not in this budget year. I don't have a problem getting the
And you know, the current year we're in, because I don't think he's gonna be ready probably even on that expansion. I think as he gets to items 1, 2, and 3 and starts kind of the schematics on even.
Right, and even getting CP&Y, I just would be reluctant to, because I don't know how big she's wanting, I don't know how much money she's talking, and I would rather wait for the year for that.
I don't think that's gonna be a problem, because I think the process is gonna call for it to probably come out of the next.
Run into that next year anyway.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Am I right or wrong, TJ? Kind of.
Oh, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I would agree completely. I think, you know, approval for lines 1, 2, and 3 are appropriate for right now. And number 4, we'll hold that and bring it back as a 401 during budget session.
All right. So if you want to state that motion specifically.
Certainly. I would make a motion that we approve M4 with regards to request 1, 2, and 3, the security-related issues, and then also the interior building traffic flow. And then number 4, the request that she's made for expansion be taken into consideration this next budget year.
Second.
All right, I have a motion second. Any other discussion?
Good.
No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those pass.
Thank you.
All right, moving down to item N2, this is discussion and or action regarding proposed pending state or federal legislation. Judge, is there anything you'd like to discuss?
Well, nothing other than we've been trying to stay pretty close to legislative actions, whether it's for us or against us, to be able to give input. We look to Association of County Judges and Commissioners, led by Jim Allison, and others to give us a heads up on where we need to be active. One of the big issues that has to do with incarceration, both juvenile and adults, is the state taking too long a time to pick these up. You know, they would, like on juvenile, not move to the state facility because they said they were short-handed. Well, we were short-handed too, and yet we had to hold them. And then we don't get reimbursed for those costs. And so it's a unfunded mandate by the fact that, you know, there's no force without legislative action. And so there's numerous bills there that we support in regards to that. I don't think I need to go over every one of these bills, but you'll see there's a pretty long list of ones that are.
I had a question for you.
Yes, uh-huh.
Right there on that topic where you are, the incarceration of state inmates. I sometimes feel that when we're going up against TDJC, that it's kind of like going up against the utility companies. You know, when we're talking about underground utility lines, because it comes up periodically during the legislative session, yet it doesn't seem to have any effect on their behavior. Does it look like we're getting a little closer to having some type of effect with those institutions moving toward opening up and taking our inmates in a timely manner? Because I know it comes up, but.
Right. It's a tough fight, and primarily because the state is putting more importance on what they think state budget's going to be over and above ours, and they can, by pushing costs to us, it cuts back on their costs. You know, so I'm suspicious it's intentional. And so, other than have legislative action that directs the state budget to reimburse us for these costs, it won't change. And so we're just hoping that we be able to sell that point going forward. And that's why I've tried to stay active in getting letters written and saying what we support and what we oppose and those kind of things. But yeah, I mean, that's the root of the problem.
I think it's a good thing, because even with the inmates that we had that we needed, or we were trying to move, you know, into mental facilities for those who have been charged with a crime, especially during COVID. It hit us and created some really serious issues in our county jail.
It did. So, if anyone has any questions on these specific bills, we'll call my office or Dustin or myself. We'll try to go through those, or anything that you see out there that we should be paying attention to. So otherwise, I'll submit this report for recording purposes. There's a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass.
N3, discussion and/or action regarding domain name change and designation of county judge as authorized authority to request and reserve the use of domain name. John?
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
Good morning.
Judge, this is John Carter, the IT Director for the county. So this one was deferred from the last meeting for a little more information. I've talked to Commissioner Miller and emailed her and gave her a few more facts about it. Again, this is just transitioning from the .co.mcclennan.tx.us domain name to the mcclennan.gov. It is the standard for governments. Again, there is no cost associated with this. I hope I've answered the questions, but if not, I would take any questions now, yeah.
Any questions for John? All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. What's the pleasure of the court?
Motion.
Go ahead.
Motion to approve N3.
Second.
Have motion second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass. Thank you, John.
Thank you.
N4, discussion and/or action regarding order authorizing San Jacinto Day fireworks sale under the Occupations Code. If the Commissioners Court would like to allow fireworks for San Jacinto Day, which is April 21st, we would have to adopt an order authorizing that before April 1st. We visited with emergency management, and they do not, they recommend not moving forward with allowing those sales. And so if the court wants to allow them, we have to adopt the order. If we don't want to allow, then no action is required.
Okay. Any questions?
Where it says 98% of McClennan County is in stage 2 or stage D2 severe drought, is that mean we don't have any water in the reservoirs and we don't have any water in the rivers or in the ponds? But does that also include like grass being too dry, or is that, what does that refer to exactly? Because it seems to me that we've gotten a lot of or some rainfall recently that would mitigate
And-
somewhat somebody's pasture burning up. I support this. I mean, I support their recommendation, but I was just curious.
I think it's just based off of lack of moisture over an extended period of time. Because we're way behind where we normally are, and I don't, Dustin,
Yeah, we're way behind.
I'm not sure that.
Right. I think the KBDI is the real time look, and it's low. We're a burn ban, we're in the 500 or 600s when we enact it. The average is 89, but the drought, it's the bigger picture. It's the yearly rainfall in those conditions.
But it doesn't necessarily mean the ground is dry. It means the tanks don't have any water in them.
That's the way I understand it. Yes, sir.
And to me, those don't exactly G-haul. I was just wondering.
Right.
Anyhow, I certainly support the recommendation of the,
All right. Is that a motion?
who is it I recommend we do not move forward? That's the emergency management?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I would make that recommendation that we approve the emergency management recommendation.
Okay. Is there a second? I'll second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass.
N5, authorization of appointments to the McLennan County 911 Emergency Assistant District Board of Directors. Currently, Commissioner Perry and Frank Patterson are our representatives, and I think both would like to continue to serve in that role. So this would be an authorization to reappoint Commissioner Perry and Frank Patterson to the board for another 2-year term.
All right, I'll move. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Pass.
N6 is selection and designation of public members of the Salary Grievance Committee regarding the FY24 budget. Mercedes?
Yes, Commissioner Perry will need to draw 9 regular members and 6 alternate members.
9 and 6.
Keep count, please.
Well, let's just go ahead and make that number 1 right there.
Okay, good deal.
James Anderson. Selby Holder. Jerry Gaskin. Colleen Weaver. Cheverly Long. Donnie Hunsucker.
Right. You gotta go after.
Mhm.
Go ahead.
Let's see. Gregory Holmes. Jeremy Lewis. How many?
That's 8.
Joel Wood. Mariah Suarez. Michelle Diane Snodgrass. Maltesia Brummett. Paul Briggs. James Anthony Shaver. One more. I can't find Jim Smith in here somewhere. Last one is Deborah Smithson.
Thank you.
All right, any action needed on that?
Motion to.
No, sir.
Need a motion?
No, we don't need it. Get 'em.
All right, moving down to item N8 regarding the McLennan County Group Health Plan, authorization of revisions to United Healthcare summary plan description, McLennan County Medical Choice Plan regarding the base and consumer-driven health plans. Anna?
Thank you, Dustin. I have here the two summary plan descriptions for the two health plans that the county currently offers. The summary plan descriptions would outline coverages offered for plan year 2023. There aren't any drastic changes to any of the coverages being offered under either plan. Really what I've outlined here are just clarifications and changes to definitions of words within the summary plan descriptions. So the first there is clarification for ambulance transportation, and just adding that this would include ground ambulance transportation. It has been in the past. We're just adding that for UHC is adding that for clarity, so that it's clear that ground ambulance transportation is included when discussing negotiated amounts for services provided. The next here, this is just outlining or highlighting an added feature to our covered health services. It's the virtual behavioral health therapy and coaching provided through a company called Able2, and they're offering a Therapy 360 program as another avenue for covered healthcare services virtually. The next section, section 9, that was updated. Again, these are benefit clarifications that better define those terms included under section 9. And then section 10, these are added or revised clinical programs that are available through the summary plan descriptions. Both summary plan descriptions were reviewed by our benefit consultant through Hub, Randy McGraw, and the HR department also reviewed each of those documents. Can answer questions if you have them.
Any cost associated?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you.
All right, any questions? Not, is there a motion to approve the report for recording purposes?
So moved.
I'll second. Any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, pass.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Under item Q, McLennan County Radio Tower Project, Q1 update from project consultant. Frank's actually out of town this week, but he will be in court on April the 4th, so we just need a motion to defer.
All right, I'll make a motion to defer.
Second.
Have a motion second. Any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, pass.
And Judge, that should be all our action items.
Okay, anything under work session anyone want to mention? And I think we're gonna have spend some time on ARPA allocation of funding. When will that be, Dustin? I know we got delayed.
Shooting for April the 4th. Tom should be available then, and then we should be able to have a good water discussion that day.
Okay, good deal. All right, anything else to come before the court? If not, we stand adjourned.